Hello, my name is Seyeon Hwang and I'm from University of Florida. I'm here today to interview you at World Relief Jacksonville office in Jacksonville, Florida. Can you please tell us your name and also spell it out for us?
My name is Basma Alawee, and it's spelled like B-A-S-M-A, last name A-L-A-W-E-E.
Okay, thank you, Basma. Now, can you tell us your hometown?
Baghdad, Iraq.
Oh, Baghdad. And were you born and raised there all your
Yes,
life?
yes.
And where and when did you live before coming to Jacksonville?
So all my life in Baghdad, Iraq, and when I moved from Baghdad, I went directly to Orlando. That was my first destination, and then we moved to Jacksonville.
Oh, okay. When did you arrive in Orlando?
It was January 13, 2010.
Okay, so you've been here for about 8 years. And you came to Jacksonville about a year later?
Yes, around a year later, we heard that there was a big refugees community over here, and there's a big Arab population, and we were starving to have a community, so we moved here, yes.
Within Jacksonville, now that you've lived in the city for about 7 years, did you have to move a lot? Where have you lived, or where do you live now?
No, actually, I didn't. When I came to Jacksonville, I lived in an apartment, and after a while, we decided to look for a house, and this was our the only movement. We now live in our own small house.
That's great.
Yeah,
good for you.
Thank you.
Where was this apartment located?
Most of the refugees live around the South Side and Atlantic Boulevard area, and that's where we lived for the first maybe 4 years. Yeah, and we moved to Atlantic Beach now. So I've been living there for 2 years.
Was there a specific reason why you decided to move to Atlantic Beach?
No, actually, I do love the beach, and it depends on how much we had and the loan that we get. We didn't get to choose. We didn't have a lot of choices, so that was, I think, the most one close to our desire. And it was around good schools and close to the beach. So I think that's how we decided, even though it's really far now from the communities that we stayed with. But that was one of the not many choices.
Okay. All right. So let's have you pick your card. You can pick 3 cards.
Yeah, I mean, I always appreciate my family, so and safety, we don't realize this until we lose it. And work, wow. Even though I'm between the family and the community, but sometimes I feel like the community sometimes end up being your family. So yeah, work, safety, and family.
Okay, so I'm just gonna put these away. So we can focus on this 3. All right. You can start telling us about any of the 3 topics.
Yeah. So I'm gonna start with family. I grew up in Baghdad, and we are a big family. We were attached to our cousins and uncles and aunts, and from both sides, my mom's side and my dad's side. So we have a really big family, and we have even our neighbors were considered as a family. Our small family was my mom and dad, and we are 2 brothers and 3 sisters. Now, I don't know. I mean, to describe my family, maybe that's. So my mom and dad, both teachers, and they were really strict teachers in home and in school. And my mom actually chose to be a teacher just to be around us in schools. So she taught all of us. She was a 6th grade teacher. She used to teach Arabic language. So every time one of my siblings reached 6th grade, she will be the teacher. My dad used to teach Arabic as well and religion. And he used to teach 3rd grade and sometimes 4th grade. So I got to have them in class too. It's a really different feeling. But yeah, I didn't like being in a class where my dad was to teach because he was more strict in the class more than him being a dad. My mom was the same anywhere. I don't know. Every time I talk about my mom, my eyes start tearing. Yeah, and I grow up. My brothers, I really appreciate. They were older than me, so I get to spend a lot of time with them. Learned a lot of things from them, and my 2 sisters are younger than me, so I get to be the mom sometime or pretend to be the mom because I'm the oldest. And I can't. But yeah, I mean, I always tried to play the big sister role, even though I have 2 brothers older than me. And my word was listened to in home. My brothers they gave my parents really hard time in schools because they wanted always to play soccer and go out. And I saw through that, I saw how much they struggled with my parents. So I decided to be the good kid who do her homework, take whatever it takes so I can be the person who I can do whatever I want because in the end, I'm doing whatever they want. Yeah, and my family are like, we are so close to each other until now, even though they are far, but we call every day. We share what's happening during the day. And we always, every day we will have, when we come back from schools, my mom will be on her prayer rug sitting, and we will be all around sharing what's happened during the day. She's so patient because she always listens to all of us. I have 2 kids now, and I don't know. I don't have patience to listen. So yeah, there was some pictures in my mind will never go away. We always eat lunch together, and after when we take a nap, we drink tea and some dessert and share and socialize. And sometimes our cousin will come over or we will go. Now maybe this will be mixed with safety. I think what made us appreciate more family is when there's no safety. Because sometimes any family, even if it's perfect, you argue, you fight, and you do a lot of different things. But when you lose safety, everything else has no meaning. So I was born in 1986, and I was so young, but I do remember that the power will go out, and we will hear bombing outside, but I didn't understand what's going on. I really liked that time because we will have families come over to stay because maybe their areas is not safe enough. So we will have them, and I had fun with that when I was a kid. Maybe I was 4 years when the first war happened. But after that, when I start understanding, I felt like I grew up really fast. I start being mature really fast, and you realize like you don't know when you're gonna lose anyone from your family, and yeah, and that's actually what made our relation more stronger, because we, in the end of each war, I do remember that we will reflect. And I think that's why having parents who's teachers is really added to my life, because they always ask us really smart questions, and they try to make us feel that our voice are heard. So they will sit and talk about what happened and what did we feel. And we all end up sharing that every one of us praying for everyone else safety. And we always have the same prayers that, okay, God, take me before anyone else. If you want to take someone, take me before. Because I can't stand my family losing someone. And I think that's really hurt. But I mean, in the same time, that's what made us more strong, to see like how much we love each other. And yeah, and times go and come back, and we will have the same thing, a threaten, another thing start. And I'm sorry. And you just, I don't know, I mean, you try to live, you try to do your best. But it's just, as a young child, as a teenager, I just always prayed that I don't lose anyone. And I still suffer from that. We still call each other to make sure that they are all safe home. Because it's still not safe. The last war happened in 2003. I was in high school, and I started that time watching the news a lot, and listening to every speech President gave, United States President and Iraqi President, and always watching news, listening to the radio. I mean, even though, I mean, you are a teenager, you should, in that age, look for college, have fun. But actually, that's what I grew up doing. Listening, okay, when is going to happen? What's going to happen? Imagine, is my family going to stay around? And the problem is, what you see on the news, it's really hurt. Like, you will see families who lost, like you will see a kid who lost his mom and dad in a bombing, and he's by himself. And you just imagine yourself, what if it happened to me? So yeah, I mean, it's really hurt. I mean, I think this is the most thing matter, because everything go and come back, but if you don't have your family around, life is hard. So yeah, and after that, I start having my own family. I have now 2 girls and my husband, and all my family is still in Baghdad, Iraq. So we always try to show our kids how much you should appreciate your family and look after them. But yeah, so to be busy and not think about all of that, sometimes you need to work, and plus that you need to make money and survive. But actually, for me, my life was in Iraq. I had my background in chemical engineering. I worked in Ministry of Oil, and I loved my career. I loved the school I went to. And even the work I did was not about making money, because our family was, I'm not going to say wealthy, but we were okay. When I came to United States, I start working a lot, and sometimes work that I get paid from, but most of the time it's like helping others, volunteer work, and I think I do this to not think about this, to just keep away, to avoid thinking about my family. I do believe in God, and I do believe everyone has a time, and all of that. But I don't know. I love my family too, a lot. So yeah, I love working, and I do feel like when I work, I give everything to work. Sometimes my husband and my kids say, "Okay, but you can skip a meeting, you can do that." But actually, I feel like this is a really important, and I'm setting an example for my own kids that if you want to survive and if you want to keep your family, you need to work. And actually, yeah, so I really appreciate all the positions that I did before, and I learned a lot from each one of them. I was teacher for too many years, and I was interpreter for some time. I was an engineer for some time, and now I'm an organizer. So I feel like everything I learned, it's reflect on any job I work for. Yeah, so I don't know. What else you want me to cover? Oh, the other one for safety. So it's not was just war. So after the 2003, there was a lot of things happening in Iraq. So I do remember, like, my husband was working with an American company, and he loved his job. So it was really, he's worse than me about work. He always loyal to any work he does. And he was not feeling safe. We were not feeling safe. Every time he go to work, we don't know if he can make it back. And some people will say, "Oh yeah, but I mean, why you will do that? Just do any other work. You don't need to do something that you feel threatened in." Yeah, I think that's why we decided to leave Iraq, because he was not safe, and I just didn't want to. I was in between. I was in between my husband's safety and my family over in Iraq. And I'm still in between, because sometimes I feel like life has no meaning if you don't wake up every morning and visit your family or see your family. But I don't want to lose my husband. So yeah, so these are so connected. Yeah, safety too. So we are here because we are seeking safety. We seeked refuge from Iraq because my husband supported American over there. And we came to look for safety. In the beginning when we came, there was not many Muslims women who were wearing scarf. So I was sometime in the street walking, and people will just do different things, not physically, but some kind of like threatened by words or I don't know. And it does make me not safe. I end up always being with my husband. He always drove me around because when I'm by myself, these things happen. So, and that was in the beginning. Now I do work and go by myself, but at night I'm not going to drive myself. If I'm going out somewhere, I do not want to have hesitation what can happen. So he always drive me. And some people ask, I do have coworkers and people like, so why you always together? I mean, you can go out, and yes, I can, but he really concerned about safety. And it does happen 2 or 3 times where people like will stop me and ask me questions. I mean, I answer, and but I don't know what can happen. So let's play it safe and do what we can. Yeah, so I mean, now I feel safety is just a word. There's a lot of even threaten for refugees and Muslims in the United States, and this is really sad because we came here for a reason, And it's not just us. I mean, I'm sharing my story, and there is more who I heard before. I mean, mine is nothing. But for ladies who's like me, who wear the hijab, and maybe I wear it in a modern way. There's a lot of people who wear it in different way, that they are more covered, and they are not feeling safe. And I was in college, and someone came and reached me, and he said, "Why you have in college, in the campus?" And someone came and said, "Why you have that on? Who forced you to do that?" And he's a college student, and people can really respond in a different way. But I was calm enough to respond to him really nicely, and explain to him why I have it, and explain to him that no one forced me to do it. I choose to do it. And my mom didn't wear hijab until she was 40. So in our family, no one forced women to, and most of the women don't get forced to do that. And the minority who you hear they are forced, as soon as the person who forced them leave, they don't need to wear it anymore. So yeah, I mean, even in the college, people will come and reach you in a not nice way, and they feel that they can embarrass you. And sometimes I hear women who people stop them to ask them these kind of questions. So my question is, so why people don't go to the beach and ask naked women why you are naked, but they feel it's okay to come to me and ask me why I'm covered. So that sometimes make me. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with. This is your body, and you can do whatever you want with it. That's what I do believe in. But this is my modesty, and I'm choosing this, and this should be something being respected. And there are some people who come, like me, and they choose to not to take it off because they don't want to go through all of that. They just and there's nothing wrong with that. I have friends who choose to take it off because they felt threatened, they felt unsafe. But I'm just, I don't know. I feel like if we are not missing safety, people will be the way they are, and they don't need to change themselves. So the other thing is, when we hear on the TV Muslim ban, I don't know what that mean, to be honest. And my kid did ask me the other day, so what's that mean, Muslim ban? We have too many Muslims in this country. And when you say Muslim ban, you are telling me that my mom, who's Muslim, cannot come and visit me and see my kids because she's a Muslim. So you are telling us, you leave, or you can stay, but people like you are banned from this country. So that's not going to create gap between different communities. That's not going to create gap between the Muslim community and the government. I don't know where we are going, but all these bans, it just hurt. It's a word, but it does hurt a lot of people. Yeah. So I am a Muslim and I'm a refugee, and people like me are banned from entering this country. So again, safety is really important, but sometimes not necessarily you are getting bombed, but maybe you are mentally and emotionally feeling not safe. Yeah.
So when you decided to apply for resettlement, how did you know that there was a possibility of resettlement? And you told me that there were threats going on surrounding your husband. So what was the process like?
So we are lucky more than millions of people. Because what happened with my husband worked with American company. In Iraq, if you work with the military or American company, you can apply for resettlement in here. And this is called SIV visa. And my husband applied through that. So he did fill the paperwork, and even though he was working and they know him, and before you even get any job, they do background screening. But actually, when we filled the application and sent it, we went through maybe 1.5 years of background screening, physical screening. We had 2 or 3 interviews. The person who was interviewing us will ask different questions about our childhood, they will make sure that you have no problem when you grow up until you are in that interview. So, and we were lucky because it took us 1.5 years. Most of now, I mean, people 17 years in refugee camps, and they grow, they get raised and grow and all their life in a refugee camp. And some people die before they even make it to their last destination. And I'm just to explain, this is like not an easy thing even. So like I am now a U.S. citizen. Even if I want to bring my family here, I can't. I need to apply and I petition them. And I went and filled the application to petition my brothers. And I called too many times, and the answer is it takes 8 to 12 years to not even come here to finish to do something. So it's not. I want to make sure that people understand it's not an easy process. My mom to come and visit me when I had my second child here. I did too many paperwork. She met all the requirements. And she paid for the application. She did the interview, and they denied her. They didn't give her visa, and all what she's coming here to see her daughter giving birth. She went again and did the interview and paid again the same amount of money and filled the same application and all of that. And after that, she got accepted to visit and come back. So. And now I don't know if she applied for a visa, if they're going to let her come again. I don't know. She might not. So people need to understand it's not an easy thing. People go through a lot of process, and sometimes they make it, sometimes not. Mm-hmm.
So it took about a year and a half.
Yeah. And during that time, no one knew we were going through this process, except our close family, because if people maybe find out that we are going to United States, we might not survive because of that. So even I remember the day we are leaving there, going to the airport, the only people knew is my close family and my husband, close family relative. We didn't say goodbye to our friends. We are not trusting them, but we didn't say goodbye to our cousins, and they heard after 2 years, I think, because in the beginning, even we were concerned about our family over there. So yeah, it's not an easy process, and people go through a lot to find their destination. But now, when people find their destination, what next? It's a lot of work after. So you are already done a lot, and you already lost everything. We lost our jobs, we lost our home, we didn't have time to do anything with all of that. I do remember the most thing I was eager to take is my certificate and my education. That's what I really want to make sure I take with me. We came, and the struggle started. It's never end all our life, but it's just different kind of struggle starting. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You said that you only shared the fact that you were now leaving the country with only close people around you. Was that because you felt that if you told them, it would jeopardize your safety?
Yeah, it was. I was concerning more about my husband. And I just kept it, and I didn't share it. And not just that, my dad always, I don't know how I say it. So my family always never asked for anything, and they always helped other families, and they always placed people in our house, and they always supported so when we had refugees from other countries in Iraq, my family always supported, but they never felt one day that their daughter will be a refugee somewhere else. So this was really hard for my family to take. And yeah, and there was a lot of reasons why we kept it quiet. But I remember my dad said when we were growing, he's like, and he see people on the TV like going through ocean, and it's like, no, I rather, and it's true. My dad is like that. Oh, I rather die than leave my country. But actually, when it's happened, he didn't say no. He knew, he was concerned about his kids' safety. So yeah, I mean, some of the Middle Eastern country, the word refugee is really hard to take, and I am. When I came to United States, and the first year was really, really hard. I was going through a lot of disappointment because I thought I will find a job. I will that connected with what I did all my life, and we didn't have the ability to not work and just go to school. So we needed to work, me and my husband, and yeah, and I applied for 3 or 4 positions, and I were not accepted. Sometimes they will say, oh, you overqualified, and sometimes they will say, yeah, I mean, different reasons. So there was a lot of, the first year was really hard to understand why I am not welcomed here, what I need to do, how I can find a community that welcome me, people who can listen to me. And some people think when we come, or what we are looking for is benefit. I was not thinking like that. I needed to feel more belonging than all of that. Because my husband started working really early when we arrived here. And we were not on benefit for a long time. And we left, and I think that's why we decided to leave Orlando and come to Jacksonville, because we heard there was a big community, and I found my first job teaching here too. Yeah, and my husband was so sweet. So he kept changing work and places just for me to work, because without getting work and being busy, I will keep nagging to go back maybe and stay with my family. So yeah, I mean, he did sacrifice a lot. Until now, he is sacrificing to make sure that me and the girls are okay. So yeah, I don't know, which was your question?
So among the struggles, you said that there was a struggle to find a job, to find, I guess, a way to feel belong to the community, and you said that there was a lot of disappointment.
Yeah, I think in myself more than others, because like we were like every time I see something in here, I was like, no, but I didn't see this in movies. They didn't tell me this in the orientations. I'm a person who loved Hollywood movie and a lot of show that I used to watch. And the first place I was placed in, it was not a good neighborhood. And I came from a really good neighborhood, even though, I mean, it was different kind of safety. We never get, all our life in Iraq, I don't remember ever we got stolen. Never. Our community really know everyone, and we never, so it's different. So I came, and the first week, outside my window, I see a man grabbing a woman's purse, and she's screaming. And I never saw that before. So I'm like, what? I came, why I came. So yeah, I mean, and what I do in this, when this happened, what I should do. I started screaming, and he looked at me, and I'm like, oh, I should then not scream. So yeah, it was like, I think, disappointed from my side, because I didn't educate myself well about where I'm coming to. But in the same time, I will not forget how many people opened their homes and arms and supported us, and but sometimes by just saying, "Oh, how are you? Where are you from? Thank you for your service over there," and these kind of things made us feel like, okay, we do care about each other. So yeah, I think that was the most thing I was, and I felt like we always hear outside the United States, we always hear that United States is the country of freedom, and it's equal opportunities, and no matter what color or your religion you are, you will be okay. And I came, and there was a lot of different kind of racism and different kind of issue, and I'm again, in every community and in every culture and every religion, there is people who does discriminate and being racist. But we always, outside the United States, we always look, this country is perfect. Mm-hmm. And it is in some way. And that's why I think we are fighting to keep it the way we always think about. I have friends in Europe, or a cousin actually. She never worked because she has hijab on. She cannot work. So when I called her and talked to her, I said, you know what? I have my hijab on and I'm working, and I'm proud of this country, and I'm proud that I am an American citizen. But there are some things that I am not proud of, and sometimes I feel I should not be quiet about. And hope people will understand that we have feelings too. Refugees are human. And anyone can be a refugee. It can happen to anyone. What happened to Puerto Rico? I mean, there was no bombing, but God decided that this can happen anywhere, and I think we should think that if we think like I might end up being a refugee one day, I will not treat refugees that way. So yeah, I mean, my husband always like, okay, Basma, we came as a refugees, done. We are now U.S. citizen. Why you always say this word? And I'm like, I think I need to remind myself that, so when I see another person struggling, I will remember to help. And that, I think the most word you hear at home, in my home, is the word refugee. In everything we do, even my kids now, because they hear it a lot. And in the end of the day, we all refuge. Sometimes we refuge from a place to place. Sometimes we refuge from a home to another home. Sometimes we refuge from our parent to another parent. So it's just a matter of what is the word refuge means. So, yes.
Why do you think you were placed in such a neighborhood in Orlando? What do you think happened there?
So it's not the agency's problem. It's because they have a specific amount of funding that they need to work with for each family. So I mean, and they need to work with that amount for us, and I appreciate it because they are trying to fit it for as many months as they can. So instead of go for them, and I will always, if they come and ask me, I will say that's where I need to be. Because if you have, let's say, $2,000 and you want to rent a place, you are going to look for a place that costs maybe $500 per month, so you can stay at least 4 months with now not thinking that you need to pay rent. But if you go and rent a place in a nice neighborhood, what's going to happen? You can maybe lose the money in 2 months. And maybe you never find a job in these 2 months. So no, I mean, what they do are right, and they do orientations, but I don't know. I mean, sometimes people are strong enough to handle these situations. Sometimes people give up and they say, "Oh, you know what? I didn't come for that," and yeah. So now I'm used to, last month I took a defense class. I never thought in my life. I never knew. Like always my students, I taught in middle school class, and always my student, Miss Basma, did you ever fight someone? No. Do you know how to defend yourself? No, because I don't need it. I have this, and that's enough. But my friend, who I really appreciate, she gathered some money and she had defense class for Muslims women. And I said, you know what? It's not going to bother. I'm going to go and learn things. And I just went. But when I was taking the class, I was taking it just to learn things. I'm like, okay, this is never going to happen. Because I know maybe, even people know sometimes how to scream. In my case, I don't know how to even scream. When I get in a situation, I just, I don't do anything. So yeah, I mean, it's good to learn. It's good to teach your kid how to defend themselves. But it's always good to teach them first how to think and then act. So you don't need to go there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. To prevent that. Yeah.
How would you? What would be some difference between Orlando and Jacksonville as a destiny for refugees?
You know, it wasn't a good fit for my family. But there are a lot of refugees families in Orlando, and there are really big community. Muslim community actually in Orlando, but we didn't feel that we should stay there, and I was open to any kind of movement just to get away. I think it was everything. It was, we are moving and leaving our family, we are coming here, and so too many, and we, in the first 2 months we were in a big car accident as well. So we went through a lot in Orlando. So we just decided, you know what, maybe we can find another opportunity in another place. And my first job was here, so I think that's why we moved. But I'm not saying, until now, we go to Orlando, we have good friends there. From now on, I mean, every 2 months we go to Orlando. And so there's no difference. Maybe where I was placed, it wasn't the right time and place. But when I came to Jacksonville, right away, I found people who I can connect with. So it's nothing. I'm not. No, I don't think it's nothing different.
Mm-hmm. When you moved to Jacksonville, you said that you settled down in Southside. How did you decide to do that, and how did you find housing?
Yes, so actually how we moved from Orlando to Jacksonville, because we heard that there is a big community in that area, so we decided to rent there. And at the same time, my work was around these areas too, so we just found a place and stayed in. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't hard renting a place at all. And yeah, I didn't know Jacksonville much, and I didn't know what area is good to stay and what area should not stay. But just because the community and the job, that's it.
Mm-hmm. Did you get referrals from people?
Yes. I had friends who lived here for maybe 2 years before me, and they reached me out and say, you know what, you should come here. Mm-hmm. And that's how I moved here. Yeah.
And so you lived in Southside for 4 years.
Yeah.
How was it like? What is your impression on Southside, especially for refugees, and what do you think of the neighborhood?
I never had any problem. Well, sometime at night you hear shooting. But I don't know if that's a true shooting or it's fire. I don't know. I don't know the difference. Yeah, I don't. It's close to a lot of areas, so it's really like I feel like it's in the middle of everything. You have the downtown area close. You have the beach close to you. You have a lot of good businesses around. So no, I mean I like it, but I like the Atlantic Beach area. Yeah, I mean Yeah, I think, listen to that. So if you leave your house, your home, the place that you grow up in, everywhere you go, it's going to be fine. If you left that place that you grow up in and you had root in, everywhere you go, it's not going to be an issue. Moving will be like an easiest thing to do. So yeah, I mean, and until now, if I need to move somewhere else because of my work or anything, I will do it. When people say, oh, moving is really hard, we did the big moving. Everything else is okay, yeah.
You said that there was a car accident, and I wanted to ask you what happened there and how it has been for you getting around the city.
Yeah, so when we came in the beginning, it was in Orlando. We were still so fresh. I think it was the first or 2 months when we came. And we found a nice lady reached out to us and she started helping us. And we went shopping with her. She's trying to drop us at night to our apartment. And I think it was her mistake. She's coming, I think she crossed the red light, and another car came and hit us. So it was at night. Me and my kid and my husband were injured really bad, but we were scared more than we are injured. And what happened actually, the lady, I think she didn't have full coverage. So she kept telling us, even if you are in pain, don't say anything. Now I remember, I'm like, yes. She's like, if you are hurted, don't say anything. And we are like, and we appreciated that she was taking us, so we didn't want her, we didn't know what's happening, but we just didn't want to hurt her in any way. So we just kept quiet, and the police kept asking us, so what's happening? Are you okay? We cannot even move. And I'm like, yeah, we are okay. We are, yeah. And so the police was so nice. He drove us home, and he kept asking in our way. My kid, I remember she kept crying, but after that she was quiet. We arrived home. We slept. The second day, it's like I remember I was sitting in the passenger seat, and the car hit my way. So the door was like in, and all this side was bruised, all. And I was in pain, like 3 days, I cannot move from the bed. And I didn't care about myself, but my child was all red here. Like, it's no blood, but it was red. I think she was in her car seat, but I don't know what happened. Yeah. So as a refugee, sometimes you take advantage of people. You don't know how to act in these kind of situations. And yeah, I think it wasn't a good idea listening to what she said. And even though we had our insurance, but she said, don't go because they will find out that you had a car accident. So we kept it quiet. And after a while, we found out that we should report that, we should get treated and all of that. We didn't do all of that. So yeah, I mean, these kind of examples, and I speak the language and I'm educated, but I was 1 month here, and I didn't want to treat a lady who helped me. I don't know, I didn't want to hurt her. So we never talked about it after. I mean, she came and apologized and all of that, but we survived, so yeah. Mm-hmm. So that's another reason why I started feeling not safe going out at night without my husband, and we didn't feel that we should ride with anyone for some time. So he got his license and he started driving us, yeah. Yeah.
When you lived in Baghdad, you didn't have to drive. You could just use...
Yeah, actually, I never drove in my life in Baghdad. We have in the house 2 cars. My dad drove one and my brothers drove one. And wherever I want to go, it's either my dad or my brothers. So in Iraq, or maybe in my family treats girls like a jewel. like a diamond in the house. So if you go out, you have the bodyguards with you, and sometimes it's too much, but I feel like I will do the same thing with my own girls. Yeah, so like I always had my brothers, and I did feel that I had bodyguards with me, and yeah, they always drove me wherever I went, even after I got married and my husband working and I'm working. Wherever I want to go, someone will pick me and take me and bring me back. I liked it. I don't like driving at all. I started driving when I came to this country. Until now, I never had tickets or anything. And I drive so slow. My husband don't like it. But you know what? I do appreciate that. I like how American women really depend on themselves. But sometimes we want to lean on others. We want the man to do things. We are still women. I do believe in equality, and I do whatever. I do travel by myself. I do a lot of things that maybe people from my culture will look like, what? But in the same time, I need a man who I can feel safe, and I need a man who will make me feel like he should protect me always. So maybe that's my kind of way of thinking, because I grew up with my brothers and my dad, who I always felt safe around. So, yeah.
So how was it I can totally relate to you, because I started driving, but I don't drive anymore. But how was it adjusting to this new country and new city where you can no longer, say, depend your transportation on your family? Mm-hmm. You have to be on your own. And how was that?
I was, like, in the beginning, I felt I should just do it. I remember when I started working as a teacher, I was still not driving. And the bus driver was a woman. And I would look, I'm like, she's a hero. How she can drive that big bus? So I would look at her and say, if she can drive a bus, I can drive a car. So I kept asking my husband to teach me how to drive, and he did, even though I would rather have a stranger teach me how to drive than my husband or my dad or my brother, because it's really chaos. But yeah, I mean, I was so insist to take the driver license. I want to really to adapt the American women here. I really, every time I go out and I see women doing things, I'm like, wow, I can do that. I think we are overseas, we spoil girls a lot. It's okay to spoil, but in some times we need to make them depend on themselves because they will need it. So like when I came, my family felt like, oh, Basma's going to struggle. She's not going to be able to be by herself. In overseas, my kids, my daughter was always in my mom's home. I didn't know how to change a diaper. When I came here, I became mom, even though she was 1 year. So, but actually, I think my family did raise us in a way that in that moment when we realize we need to be independent, we will be. So it's a lot of, it's not just the driving. There's a lot of things, like even work. Women here work at night. We don't have that overseas. Most of the women have their morning shift. I mean, except doctors, because they need to stay in the hospital. So I never worked at night because I like sleeping at night a lot. But that's not mean I can. Now, I mean, sometimes I do travel at night. But yeah, I mean, it's good to try everything and see if that's something fit you or not. Yeah.
Do you think some of the struggles that you went through, do you think it was largely because of the difference in culture? Or was it more of your lack of knowledge?
I think it's culture. I think it's not, no, it's not culture. I think it's not having, you are having a new system. So I do believe even if you are here living in this country, if you go to another country, you will struggle. Anyone change a place will struggle with communicating with people, even if you speak the language, sometimes people understand right away if you are from a different place coming now speaking English. I don't know, the way you greet people. I learned when I came, we had different culture in Iraq. So if people die, you know how to greet, like what kind of way you should talk to them. If people get married, what kind of way you speak. And I learned all of that by experience. So I will always ask, so I'm sorry, how I should interact in this kind of way, because I just don't want to. And that's not mean I should not use my culture. I can, but sometimes maybe my culture will offend people. So I just always ask question before I do things. So yeah, I mean, changing a place, even if you move from a city to another city, if you don't know anyone in that city, you will struggle. But if I move from a place to another place and I have a family there, I don't think there's going to be any struggle, because they can show you the way, they can teach you how to do things, they have already maybe a connection. Finding a job, do you think, I mean, I was in Iraq, and if you look for a job in Iraq, you need to know someone, know someone, know someone. I didn't know that exists here too. It does. Maybe some companies, they don't care. But most of the places, you need to know someone who knows someone. And this is, to me, it doesn't make sense. It's just, I don't know. And I experienced it a lot, but I don't feel it's fair. Over there and here. People should be selected because of the hard work they had, not because they know someone. Yeah.
Yeah. So far, you also mentioned that you have moved to Atlantic Beach.
Mm-hmm.
And like the beach. And
Yeah,
all that.
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I love my small home, and my girl's enjoying living there, and I love walking on the beach. And I always, when I have people over, I take them to the beach. I mean, I have a park next to me and a beach. I can have vacations all the time. Yeah, I think I grew up in a city in Baghdad. We didn't have beach in the city. And sometimes even after the war, you don't have even parks that you can walk or run or jog. It wasn't safe. So it's a blessing to have a beach in Jacksonville. And people need to appreciate that and not to throw trash there. Sometimes I go take a walk and I start picking things, and I feel like I'm doing something else. I'm not enjoying my time. But yeah, I mean, I love nature. I really like nature. Yeah.
Do you use a lot of public space within the city? Like, it seems like you go to church, you go to the beach, you go to.
Yes, I do go out a lot, especially when we came in the beginning. We went to adventure, so we went everywhere around Jacksonville and Orlando. And we always check different parks. And we always have festivals. That's a blessing too. You don't need to pay for your kids to go somewhere. Sometimes on Saturdays you always have things happening. I do like social gathering, and I do like interfaith gathering. So I am not so much, and I feel guilty about that because of my work time. So I'm not all the time at the mosque, but when I go, I use my time wisely. And I love visiting churches too. I feel the spirit everywhere. And I taught in Christian school for so many years. So I feel like when you know about other religion and culture, you try to appreciate people more and appreciate your own self too. So yeah, I am a person who really outgoing. And I feel like you are living one time. And sometimes there's things like I will discover after a while, like how I didn't do that before. And I hope my kids will be the same. I mean, in Iraq, we didn't have that many opportunities because of war after war after war. So I don't know until now how to ride a bike. Never. My sister does, but not me. I cannot balance myself. I don't know how to swim. Even though I took swimming classes here. And I felt bad for the coach because she couldn't. In the beginning of the class, she's like, oh yeah, by the end of this class, you will know. And I'm like, oh, I hope so. By the end of the same movement, it was. I mean, she tried her help, like her best. But like you see, when you live in war, you don't have time to learn how to do what kids does. So I missed a lot of things, and I don't want my kids to miss anything. Swimming, biking, hiking, all of these things. I mean, even though I'm so busy with this, I don't do this a lot. So yeah.
Do you think because of the current political climate and some of the threats that you felt, do you think your activities and your desire to be more active in public space is being compromised?
The opposite. I am a person who does a thing. So like when my husband tells me to do something, like you need to do this, I will not do it. I am a person who, when I think I need to do that, I will do it. When I was a kid, I went somewhere. My mom was going to buy a hijab. I was not yet wearing it. And I went, and that man, in a really not nice way. I mean, it's not even his business. But he's like, oh, you are now in that age, you need to wear the hijab. And the way he was approaching me, it's not right. He don't know me. So my mom was standing next to me. She was buying the hijab. And she know I'm not going to be quiet about it. And I'm like, wow. Even if I'm going to buy a hijab, I'm not going to buy it from your store because you said that. And I think if you said it in a nice way, I might end up wearing it. But the way you said it is not what the Islam said. And my mom kept, and I'm like, no, he. And the way I wore my hijab, it's funny. I was 13. I had a really bad haircut. And school starting. And I'm like, oh, you know what? I'm going to wear the hijab. And my dad no, that doesn't work that way. You really need to want to do. And I'm like, yeah, I do want to wear it. And he's like, no, you need to want. I'm like, yes, I do. And that's what he said. He's like, okay, I'm okay with you wearing it. But think about it. When you decide something, you should not come back. And I'm like, oh yeah, I can do that. And I never took it off after he didn't believe it. It's like, I can do that. But yeah, that's the way it was. Sometimes we work so hard to do something that you can do it, you can take it really easy. And so yeah, I mean, I think what's happening now, it's making me more, I'm organizing events, I'm going out a lot, I'm speaking a lot, and I hope people will open their mind and heart. I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of people with privilege. I don't know. I mean, I do. And it's funny because in a really bad timing, I choose to work as a refugee organizer. In a really bad timing, I left teaching, like maybe my stable work, to do this because I felt it's needed. And it takes a village. I'm not doing it by myself. But I'm trying to inspire others to do it. And yeah, so no, I don't think, and I think as much as we do that, no one gonna say, oh, but I didn't hear about it. Because that's what people now, oh, but all what I hear on the news is this. I didn't know there is a story like that. So we want to reach all these people who's saying, oh, I didn't hear that. We want them to hear that. And after that is their decision. You cannot change people's minds sometimes. So yeah.
What do you think is your role in your community? And how do you think your community has been helping you, supporting you as a refugee?
I am a person in a community. Sometimes I learn a lot from, not sometimes, all the time I learn a lot from each person in my community. And I ask the kids before the adults about things sometimes because they are more honest about it. The struggle our community is facing, they are afraid, and that's not going to help. They are afraid to go out. They are afraid to participate in events. They are afraid to share their story. They are afraid, and this is not going to help. This is going to make it worse. Because if you are afraid if you're doing something wrong, and we are not doing anything wrong, so I should not be afraid. So I think that's the struggle I'm facing. Not everyone wants to advocate for their family, because I'm first advocating for my family, and then my community, and then my city, and then my state. But I think, and I'm not doing anything wrong, and I should not be afraid of. I'm sharing my story. I'm trying to reach out to others to share their testimony and their experience, and trying to gather people. And in the end, what did God say for believers? God said, love your neighbors as yourself. And people becoming unbelievers because they see believers not doing what God said. So they were like, okay, so why I will go to a church and be I'm talking about all religion, Muslim and Christianity. People leaving our religions because they think we are not following it right. So yeah, no. Take a lot of people in the community to do that, and I hope one day people will realize that this is important.
This may be maybe my last question.
Yes.
If the city officials were to take a suggestion from you to improve Jacksonville and becoming a better city, more welcoming city for refugees, what would be your suggestion?
Oh, one? Just one?
No, it could be two.
I think as soon as they decide they want to be a welcoming city, that's itself enough. As soon as they will be open to that idea, they will not need any suggestion. They know how to do it. Because if you're sitting in home and a visitor comes to your house and you are trying to welcome that visitor, do you know how to welcome that visitor? Do you know how to make that person feel belong? Everyone knows, right? So if you are living in a city and if you are running a city, you should know how to welcome a refugee or an immigrant or a stranger. So I think it starts if you know how to take care of your visitor in home, you will know how to take care of your visitor in the big city or the state.
Mm-hmm. And you asked me if there has to be one.
Yes.
So what would be your second thought?
I think they should go down to different communities. They should not wait for people to ask for appointment and wait weeks to get appointment just to introduce themselves to them. If they really care about their district, if they really care about their city, they should meet more people. They should not just go to an event where people making money there. They should go to events that people struggling and in need of things. And when you show up, that means you care. So show up more. Yeah.
Yes. So that's all for me. Was there any specific story that you wanted to share with us?
Actually, there's a lot, but I'm running out of time and I need to go. But thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much.
Sure.